Have you ever wondered if there's a deeper meaning to the sun and moon? Since they are the most important celestial bodies in the sky, it would make sense that they're equally significant in our natal chart. In this enlightening video, we unravel the mysteries of how these two celestial bodies influence our lives, our beliefs, and our spiritual practices. I want to show the significant connections between the sun and moon in astrology to shadow work. Their positions can reveal insights into our personality, emotions, and also our destiny. I also want to discuss how this relates to esoteric mysticism and astrotheology. The sun and moon in astrology, shadow work, esoteric mysticism, and astrotheology seem like separate concepts, but they are really intricately connected when we understand their deeper relationship within us. Hi, welcome to Starwell Astrology. My name is Shari. I am a Western tropical astrologer, and I specialize in shadow work. Astrology is so much more than just our sun sign and daily horoscope. It's a complex system that has been used for centuries to understand human nature, the cosmos, and our place within it. Unfortunately, this focus has shifted, and now we see astrology as more of, what is my day-to-day horoscope. And for those of us who are really interested in astrology, we know that there's a much deeper meaning to astrology. So there's a lot of misconceptions around what astrology really represents. So in reality, though, astrology is more about self-reflection and understanding our own strengths and weaknesses. And by analyzing our birth chart, we can gain a deeper understanding of our personality, our motivations, our purpose in life, especially if we're working with our sun and moon. Now, astrology is a sacred science that has been overlooked for many years, and even when it is believed to be helpful to us, we still overlook the depth of the wisdom that it has to offer us. Astrology can be a powerful tool for personal growth and spiritual development through self-awareness, especially when incorporated with shadow work to understand our deeper psychology. In shadow work, astrology can show us not just our strengths, but also our weaknesses to know what we are here to work on. We might eventually learn as we continue to do the inner work that we are not just here to develop or improve on the level of the personality, but more importantly, at the soul level. Astrology combined with shadow work is a wonderful tool to know thyself. But this must be taken seriously because if not, it will keep us on a more surface level. But if it is taken seriously, it unravels its secret wisdom, and we are able to see a much deeper side of ourselves. We get to see the real depth of what astrology and shadow work really has to offer. But if you have clicked on this video and you have watched this far, it's a sure sign that you're ready for more. There's nothing wrong with working on self-development. I did this for many years, and it's certainly a place to start. But if one is ready to dive deeper into doing the shadow work, it holds the key to the inner temple where the doors fly wide open. Especially when you are able to practice shadow work by diving deeper into our psyche, and you're willing to investigate your internal state and allow it to unfold and give you insights. And then you're able to reflect on your natal chart to unleash its inner secrets, what our soul is here to work on and evolve through. Applying the practice of shadow work by diving deeper into our psyche while investigating ourselves through the unfolding insights of our natal chart unleashes the inner secrets of the soul and eventually dissolves our conditioned veils of distortions and deceptions. In astrology, the sun and moon are like the two sides of the same coin. They're facing away from each other, but in reality, they are really complementary energies. The sun gives us our sense of purpose and direction, while the moon gives us our sense of comfort and security. The sun is more of our rational way of thinking, and the moon is more the way we filter the emotions we receive through our heart. Understanding the dynamics between the sun and the moon can help us find a balance and harmony in our lives. So, in astrology, the sun and moon represents the masculine and feminine energy of this reality. These are the two main pillars in our natal chart. And the sun and moon's placement in our natal chart are major indicators of our personality, our creative passions, our inspirations and purpose, as well as our innate gifts and talents. We can gain access to our intuition, and we can learn what makes us happy and also reveal our unique and special abilities, but also explore our vulnerabilities. The sun and moon represents the universal principles of polarities, which states that everything has a pair of opposites, as well as the universal law of gender, which also states that all things are made up of masculine and feminine energy. So the sun is the electric masculine energy, and the moon is the magnetic feminine energy. And together they create the electromagnetic field from which all things manifest. The sun is the masculine fire energy and is the king in the sky. He rules the astrological sign of Leo, and Leo is known to rule the heart. The heart is where our passions are, and it is also a vital organ that keeps us alive. The heart is where we feel a connection to our day-to-day experiences. And when we start to close our hearts due to our emotional wounding, we go numb and cold to what we're experiencing to life. Or we find ways to numb ourselves out to our day-to-day lives, especially if they feel uncomfortable or unpleasant. And this is what shadow work will help us to get access to. In order to heal emotionally, we heal at the level of the heart, since it's the purest essence that we have as human beings. And when alchemically purified, which means that we're working on an emotional level through shadow work, dissolving the layers of protection that we have over our heart that has caused it to close or go numb, then we start to know who we are as unconditional love. Of course, this takes time and dedication and the willingness to do the practice, and not just do the parts that we like, but do all of it, being aware and being present to everything that we must face about ourselves in this life. This is our highest aspiration as human beings, to transcend our limitations of conditioning and to know who we are as unconditional love. The sun is the highest expression and is consciousness. And when raised up inside of us, it is our golden, fiery spirit and divine spark. The sun's positive electric charge combined with the moon's negative magnetic energy creates our visible universe. And this electromagnetic field is the frequency and vibrations that brings our reality into form. This holographic reality is a personally perceived projection that becomes visible to us through us as the source of whatever we are experiencing. So since we are the sole source of what we project and manifest in our reality, we must also take accountability for the reality we are perceiving. I know this might sound too radical for some, but indulge me for a minute and try to see the world you are currently experiencing from the eyes of another person. You will see that it's impossible, because you can only experience the reality that you know personally from your own perspective. It is not possible to see it or step into someone else's body and experience what they're experiencing. So from this perspective, we need to take accountability for everything that we are experiencing in our own lives and the way that we are reacting to the experiences that we have in our own lives. Our power lies in how we respond to life. Life is going to happen. We somehow chose that, the way that it's unfolding, even if it's, absolutely horrible. A part of us chose it before we were born, at least from the astrological perspective. But where we hold our power is how we're responding to what we're experiencing. And shadow work helps us to take accountability for that part of ourselves where we are able to respond to life rather than react. So in astrology, the sun is our consciousness. And as we awaken and become more conscious, we realize that from the perspective of being an individual soul here on earth, we are the source and cause of the life we're living. And this is a huge opening to understanding, but it's also difficult to swallow because, well, why is my life so shitty? And do you really want to be responsible for that? Well, like I said, shitty things do happen, but how we respond to them is where we hold our power. And if we do this from the perspective of being aware and conscious of the choices we're making and the steps that we're taking, then this is where we hold our own power. Okay, so the sun is the king and the main source of life, where here on earth, he's regarded as the giver of life. And the moon is the receiver of the sun's light. She is the queen who rules the astrological sign of Cancer. And Cancer is a feminine water sign. Water represents our emotions. Now, the moon is the womb and the receiver of life. All of life is born from the feminine energy of the moon. The moon represents our memories, accessed through the medium of the mind. And the mind is this filing cabinet of thoughts and memories. This universe is a mental projection of our personal thoughts and memories held together by our emotions. The all is mind, as stated by the first Hermetic principle, and the universe is mental. The one mind of God is also spirit or oneness, but also referred to as the source of everything. In this regard, we are the microcosm of the macrocosm, where our personal world in this holographic matrix is a unique mental projection from our individual minds. In other words, we hold the same creative potential as God, but to a lesser degree. The moon holds on to all our emotional memories over lifetimes. So the soul carries the baggage of these impressions from past lives and ancestral lineage in our DNA. And these memories, which are now energetic impressions, are more active than we imagine, since they show up as a part of our automatic thought processes that gets reflected from the mind and becomes a projection into our lives through our experiences. And our experiences electromagnetically attracts whatever resonates with us emotionally. The moon also rules how we perceive what feels safe and what feels unsafe through the veils of its programmed perceptions. She does this through imprinted cellular memories retained in the fluids or blood's DNA in our bodies. The moon draws into herself the sun's creative potential of all things. Through her magnetic field, she attracts and receives the sun's electric charge. The sun rules consciousness, and the moon rules our intuition. The sun rules our conscious mind, and the moon rules our subconscious or unconscious mind. The sun rules our dominant left brain, and the moon rules our passive right brain. To take this further, in esoteric mysticism and astrotheology, the sun and moon represents heaven in us. The head is the throne, and it's heaven. It's the heaven that lies within us. It's not a place out there where we tend to place our gaze, but an internal process of inner alchemy where we get to know thyself through shadow work. The brain is the upper room, it is the most high, and it is where we access the Holy of Holies or Holy Spirit in the inner temple. It's also the Ark of the Covenant where the two cherubims meet, as represented by the neocortex's left and right hemisphere of the brain that covers the thalamus in the limbic brain, where the pineal gland and pituitary glands are located. The sun rules the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is a small pine-shaped gland that sits in the middle of the brain, just above the thalamus. And the pineal gland is also called our third eye, our central eye. It's the single eye, it's the optic thalamus. There's so many names for this, but it's still talking about this one thing. And the moon rules the pituitary gland, which is located at the base of the brain, just behind the bridge of the nose. These two glands, both the pineal or pineal, however you want to pronounce it, and the pituitary gland, they together produce sacred secretion, which is the CFS or cerebrospinal fluid, which is also chrism or Christ oil in our body. This is called the sacred secret of Christ within us on a physiological level. So in astrotheology, the pineal gland charges the CFS with electric, a masculine energy. And the pineal gland is the microcosmic sun, symbolizing Joseph, the father of the Holy Child, who produces and implants the solar germ in the womb or solar plexus. He is the honey, and he rules the metal gold. And the pituitary charges the CFS with magnetic feminine energy and is responsible for our reproductive system. In astrotheology, she is Mary, the mother of the Holy Child. She gives birth to the lunar seed, and she symbolically is the milk and rules the metal silver. Together, they activate the promised land within us. In astrotheology, Jesus is a symbolic representation of being the physical sun in the sky, who is the Son of God and the Savior of our soul. He gets crucified and becomes Christed when he dies on the cross of matter. Each of us hold the potential to access our inner state of Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is born out of an alchemical wedding between the sun and the moon through a sacred passage that requires that we die to our ego identity, which is our lower expression of the sun sign, and be reborn in spirit, the higher expression of the sun sign. So we do this through our moon sign by gaining access to our intuition as a guide for our soul. And through shadow work, the alchemy of healing our emotional wounds happens, and this begins to dissolve and transform us. So as we heal our emotional wounded state, we get resurrected in a state of pure consciousness. Eventually, the veils of distortions and deceptions is pierced, or the curtains are torn open. This symbolically means that the sun and moon, when synthesized harmoniously, it opens the third eye or central eye. So in shadow work, this means that we have found a state of equanimity. All thoughts and emotions are met in a surrendered state of even-mindedness that opens our hearts to know peace and joy. When the heart and mind, sun and moon, thoughts and emotions are no longer unbalanced, we get access to a higher state of consciousness where we are aligned in truth. And we know who we are authentically and can rest in the present moment in deep surrender to what is. This information I'm sharing today has been gathered over many years while researching and studying astrology and esoteric mysticism, as well as astrotheology. For many years, I have had an interest in shadow work, and through the hours of practicing self witnessing to heal my own emotional wounds, esoteric mysticism became more relevant to me. And this naturally led to astrotheology as well as astrology. All this happened over many years of practicing shadow work. I must admit that most of this information is hard to come by, and even when it is, it's not that easily deciphered. And I do not claim to be an expert in astrotheology or esoteric mysticism. My main area of practice is in astrology and shadow work. However, esoteric mysticism and astrotheology are topics I feel very passionate about. And I love making this area of interest relevant to the astrology that I love and the shadow work that I practice. So I have spent many years researching and trying to weave these fragmented pieces together. And to me, they make sense, and I hope that this does for you. However, please feel free to do your own research and see what resonates with you. Because most of this knowledge has been protected for centuries by ancient mystery schools, it is not so easily available. And it has been protected information because it is realized that this can easily be distorted or misunderstood or misused. So most of this information is just now becoming available to the masses. And I hope that I'm doing justice to whatever it is that I am understanding and sharing with you. So I must admit that though this information, it's available, but it is very deep knowledge that takes time to do some researching and also some introspection so that you can gain your own understanding of it. I've learned over the decades from teachers such as Santos Bonacci and Bill Donahue and authors like Manly P. Hall and George W. Carey, to name a few. Of course, the list is much longer than that, but those are the people who come to mind. However, I have practiced shadow work for over a decade and have managed to incorporate this practice with astrology to gain a better understanding or deeper understanding of our natal chart. So I thank you for joining me on this journey, and I hope that you were able to gain something from this video about the sun and moon. And if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you.